Hey everyone. I'm gonna start my live just like a minute early for the sole purpose of letting everybody come in and say hello that might want to join us this evening. And that way I can make sure that my screen is good. Everyone can see me all right. All right. How is everyone doing tonight? We have a really fun project for this evening with a really fun bundle. We're going to make a scrapbook page. 12 by 12 scrapbooking is my first love and my passion. So I thought that usually I can never finish a scrapbook layout in 1 hour, but I think I have this prepped up really good and will be awesome. Hey, there's Heather. Hi, Karen. Hi, Shirley. Hi, Heather. Hi, Penny. Hi, Jackie. I hope, so glad you're all here tonight. Yes. So 12 by 12 scrapbooking is my first love. It is the paper crafting hobby I started with, and I thought it would be super fun to go ahead and do that with you this evening. So I think I've got it. I think we're gonna get a nice 12 by 12 scrapbook layout done in an hour. Let's hop in right away. Let's start with the bundle. So tonight's bundle is called the Shimmering Snow Bundle, and you will find a link in the description box below. This bundle includes this little teeny tiny, I love this, shimmering snow paper pad. This is 2 by 2. So the little papers inside of it are 2 by 2. What makes me laugh is that just like the 6 by 6 papers, this little beginner piece the front piece has little coordinating, what's it called? Cardstocks in the back. And there's even a little 2 by 2, like the back that's in the normal 6 by 6 paper pad. That makes me laugh. So that's in our bundle tonight. Hi, Nikki. We also have some crystals in the bundle tonight. We have some embossing powder and white gesso, and we are going to pair that with this beautiful chipboard mitten. We have the Harvest Foliage die set, which I think is so pretty, and I know that it's called Harvest Foliage, and you immediately think fall, but we are going to go winter with it. You'll see that in a second. There is cardstock, Not Your Mama's cardstock, C cardstock, and then we have some mixed media, some pigment in azure, aqua pigment in azure, and shimmer mist in pearl. So that is all of the pieces that are in the bundle for tonight. And then we're going to pull in as an add-on the die of the month for December. So this, if you have not seen it yet, this is what the die of the month for December looks like. It's so gorgeous and I love it. You'll find a link to this one in the description box below. It is perfect for not just cards, but scrapbooking. I think it's so good. I absolutely loved it. I cannot wait to play with that with you guys tonight. So let's get started. I am going to start. I gave myself a little in order of things I should do. Look at this. You guys are going to laugh. See my little post-it note here that's telling me exactly in what order I need to do things so that things can dry. so we can get through all of the things for tonight. So we're going to start with the chipboard. And on our chipboard piece, we are going to start with some gesso. This is the white gesso. And I'm also going to make use of some printer paper so that I can keep the mess to a minimum. I also have, as usual, my little stencil tray up here that has water and a little bit of cleaner in it so that I can drop all the messy stuff right into there. I'm going to get a piece of printer paper, and this way I can paint and move. Hi, Ellen. How are you this evening? I'm going to grab a pretty wide brush, and that way I can get the gesso onto our mitten very quickly. So there is no wrong way to do this. I'm just putting a layer of the white gesso over the mitten, both the top and the bottom piece. And I just want to get it coated. We are going to completely cover this up with embossing powder, so we don't need this to be in any way, what's the word? Neat. Neat would be a good word. Just get a layer, just get it on there. And then we're going to set this aside. This gesso dries like so super quick. So by the time we do some of our other mixed media things we're going to do tonight, this will be ready for us to quickly and easily heat emboss. So I'm just going to pick this up and move it because I don't want the chipboard to stick to the printer paper. That would be a problem. But then we can pop the brush in, move this aside, and it can dry while we work on our next messy thing we are going to do. Heather said she loves the chipboard. I love this chipboard too. I really, really love it. It's awesome. Okay, so we'll set this aside next. And my hands are going to get messy. I'm going to be a mess. Just, it is what it is. We're going to make our own specialty cardstock tonight. So I want a little bit of like paper that has a pearlescent finish or a fun kind of, I don't want just flat white cardstock for my layout this evening. So I'm going to go ahead and I am just taking my paintbrush, I'm dipping it into some of this water and kind of pushing it into the bottom of that stencil tray and then tapping it off so that we can go ahead and just use it again. I'm going to take some of the Azure Aqua Pigment that's in our kit for tonight, and I'm also going to take some Shimmer Mist in Pearl that's also in the kit tonight. Yes, I have used the chipboard, all the different kinds of chipboard on a couple projects now. I used it on the mini album. I've used it on my channel for some projects. Really nice stuff. So we're going to get this good and mixed in, and then I'm going to take the Azure Aqua Pigment, and I'm going to take, I think I'm going to grab this. Which one of these is fuller? Shimmer Mist in Pearl is, this is one of the products from Brutus Monroe that I keep like 3 or 4 of them, just kind of like hanging around my craft room. I've got 2 on my desk. I probably got an unopened one over in my cart. It's a favorite product. It's right up there with the Gilded Aqua Pigment. So I am just going to spray some of this fun pearl into the aqua pigment and then give it a good stir, which is going to give us this gorgeous like blue but shimmery kind of paint. And then we're going to take our brush and we're going to coat this entire piece of 8.5 by 11 C cardstock with the aqua pigment and the pearl. I do this quite often, and I make it a point, if I'm going to paint on some cardstock, if I'm going to make a mixed media mess anyway, might as well do it right and do a whole 8.5 by 11 sheet. And then when it's dry, it's done. And you have it for lots and lots and lots and lots of projects. So we're just going to get as much of that ink as I can get onto this paper. The more the merrier. Lots of layers. I also love brush strokes, but if you don't, you could use something else, like a sponge, a dauber maybe, to get all the medium onto the paper. So don't worry about it. If you get warping, let it dry completely, put it under a heavy book, and you will be good to go. And by the magic of TV, Penny's laughing, as Penny and I talk kids all the time. I have one that's completely dry and ready to go. So here is that same paper, and you can see we have this fun texture, and it might be hard to see on camera, but there is also that little bit of the pearlescent kind of shimmer to it. But it takes a plain cardstock, just a plain colored cardstock, and it kind of elevates it just a bit. So that's the first cardstock we're going to do tonight. We're going to do two. I'm going to wipe up my desk in between. Hi, Shalana. Yes. That Pearl Shimmer Mist is a go-to. So I'm just going to spray this up. Whip up my glass mat. There's nothing like a glass mat for mixed media, let me tell you. Best way to clean up. There we go. Now we're going to do a second paper, and we're going to do almost the same thing. It does look like a party. I love it. So many people here tonight. The next paper we're going to do, this is the Not Your Mama's cardstock, so it's nice and heavy and thick. It is included in tonight's bundle, and having this Not Your Mom's cardstock and having it be nice and thick is going to come in handy right about now. So Ellen says that Pearl Shimmer is a go-to for me. Well, Ellen, I'm going to show you something you can do with your Pearl Shimmer that I think is the coolest thing ever, and it will knock your socks off. And it is hands down the easiest thing to do. So I'm going to take this shimmer mist, the Pearl Shimmer Mist, and I'm going to spray it all over this sheet of paper. I'm going to spray it everywhere. If you like some brush strokes, you can take your brush and kind of go over it. If you like, I'm going to let it dry like this. Just going to spray this. That's all I'm going to do. And then I'm going to set it aside and let it completely dry. And Penny, do you want to say our magic words? When it dries completely, by the magic of TV, through the magic of TV, we have this gorgeous pearlescent cardstock. It has a little bit of texture, and it was so easy to do. Just spray your shimmer mist right onto the Not Your Mama's cardstock. Let it dry completely, and if it's a little warped, put it underneath a heavy book after it's dry. But you can see that these are ever so slightly warped, but not even a lot. And paper has no memory, so we can just go around it like this. And even that tiny little bit of warping that we have is now completely gone. And we have two 8.5 by 11 pattern papers that have some texture and some pearlescent sheen. and we are ready to play with it. And one of the best things to do with all of this gorgeous cardstock is to die cut it. So that's what I did. So I made more. I made a couple panels of each of these because now that it's dry and it's flat and I just made 2 others, I'm going to keep this. I'm going to use this. I made this mess. I cleaned up the mess. And now when I want to create, these are dry. These are ready to go. So simple. And look at these die cuts. I hope that this light can catch the pearl of them because they're so gorgeous. So this is that harvest foliage die set. I cut 1 set of the dies from the pearlescent cardstock, and 1 set of the dies from the blue, and then I went ahead and I also cut the die of the month from, again, from the pearlescent cardstock, from our homemade pearlescent cardstock, and from that blue. And we're going to use those as embellishments on our layout tonight. It is a beautiful mess, Heather says. Yes, and what I like to do though is let's plan a mess, right? So if we're going to make 1 sheet of paper or we're going to make 1 project today, that's fine, but make more than 1 mess. Like make 3 or 4 of these papers and then you have them. Then they're right here. They're ready to go. And you can use them for any upcoming projects you might have. So now we're going to come back to our mitten because just like that, in that amount of time, our mitten's dry and we are ready to heat emboss it. All right, so we're going to go ahead. I'm going to take the printer paper I used. Actually, I'm not because it's still wet. Never mind. We're going to toss that and get a new one. I agree with Heather. She's like, oh my goodness. Yes, yes. Work ahead a little bit. Plan a little bit to be creative. Do 3 or 4 papers like that and then set them aside and you have them. They're done. And they're gorgeous. Those papers turned out so gorgeous. I can't even. All right. So now we need the embossing ink and embossing powder. So embossing ink is not included in the bundle. It would be considered a add-on, and I believe I linked it in the description box. I know I linked the bundle in the description box below the live, and I know that I inked the snow, the die of the month, the December die of the month. Ellen says I use my older order sheets as scratch paper. That's a good idea. I just keep printer paper hanging around. I learned that from there's another Lavinia Stamps, the owner of Lavinia Stamps. When she creates on like a stack of printer paper. It just goes whoosh, whoosh. So I was like, oh, that's not such a bad idea. So we are going to. I'm using my chewed on embossing ink. So I say this a lot. I have 2 embossing inks. They're both on my desk. One is for stamps. One is for mixed media applications. And the one that is for mixed media applications looks like someone was chewing on it. And that's all right because that way I have like a really nice pristine one for stamps. And I have this one for mess. This over. So there is no, in my experience, there is no unmessy way to heat emboss shapes like this without making a mess. Like I don't think there is a way. I don't think a way exists. no matter what technique that I use to do this, I always end up inevitably tossing embossing powder all over my desk and everything. So if you've come here to learn tips and tricks on how to not make a huge mess, I'm not the person you want to talk to, because I make messes. I'm not a neat crafter at all. Oh, thank you so much to whoever posted the collection. Yes, if you have some of these products and you just want some of them, a link was just posted so that you can just get the pieces you might need, and you don't need to buy the whole bundle. Oh, it was Penny. Thank you, Penny. I am going to put more than one layer of embossing powder and embossing ink onto this mitten because I want a really nice, pretty heavy layer. I want it fully coated. Isn't Heather amazing like that? She's on top of it. Okay. Nikki says, one time I left the container of embossing powder open and blew my paper, and it blew so much all over my desk. Oh my goodness. I have probably made that mistake at least one time, which is why I am now like really, really careful about it. I'm sure that totally sounds like something I have done. You definitely could go ahead and do more than 2 layers if you want. I find 2 layers for this application is plenty. The more layers you add to it, the thicker your just the thicker it'll become. It'll start to look like enamel and get some dimension, which is perfectly fine if you want that look. I am totally fine with just 2 layers, especially for tonight's project. So that's what we're going to do. Hetty says the triple thick makes your project look like it's enamel. Oh, I might need to try some of that. I don't have any of that right here. All right. So let's set these aside and I'll wipe up the table a little bit. And then we'll just get all of the powder up and off. Ellen says she loves doing word die cuts in triple thick. Oh, you guys, I need to try some of this stuff now, don't I? Yep. I generally have an ongoing running cart at the shop at Brutus Monroe. So we'll just have to go and add that to it, I suppose. Okay, so let's get all the pieces we need for our scrapbook page. There we go. Including our pictures, embellishments. So one thing that I have done is I took about half of the pack of paper and I cut it in half. I cut it right on the diagonal. So all this paper is double-sided and I cut it, you kind of see here. I just took it like this and cut it straight down the middle. So we have triangles instead of squares. And I used about half. I'm going to not quite end up using all these triangles, I don't think, but you still have enough to do probably another layout. So you could probably get 2-ish layouts. Over on my channel, I have done I do layouts quite often where the layouts are inspired by quilt designs. And there's lots of them. I've been doing them for a really long time. They're some of my absolute favorite. So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to do a really, really simple quilt design that's just pretty much going to be a border across down the one side of our scrapbook page. And if you want some more ideas for how you could use this 2x2 paper pad, I would take a look at that playlist on my channel, because most, if not all, quilt designs can be like quilt block patterns can be easily, and I say super easily because I am not someone who enjoys math by any means. So if I can take a quilt design and easily turn it into something that requires me to cut 2x2 or 1x1 squares of pattern paper to create, then you know that that's easy. And quite often, if you just go to Pinterest and type in quilt patterns, you'll get these quilt blocks, and the quilt blocks are already squared. And then you just go in and you're like, you can easily turn them into 1-inch or 2-inch squares of pattern paper. And a mini paper pad like this that already has that's already measured into 2x2 squares is amazing. Hi, Holly. Holly's here. How are you? I can't even believe that you made it. Holly's been trying to come to a live for a long time, and she's here. So I'm going to do one row. You can kind of see how I did this. And then I'm going to go ahead and come in with the next row, and I'm going to fill it in just like this. We're going to make this really nice and easy. Very easy. Quilt design for tonight. And then we're going to dress it up with some crystals. Quite often, the hardest part of doing these types of page designs is getting the initial 2x2 squares all the same dimension. So having a paper pad that's already 2x2 is so awesome. Like, this was easy. As soon as I saw these little paper pads, I was like, oh, I know exactly what I want to do with that. All of like the 2x2 measuring work is done for you. Just done. Heather, what kind of candy did you buy? Someone bought $150 of Scoozy's candy. Oh, yeah. Heather says it's because I'm in the past. Not Heather, Holly. What's nice is these papers are double-sided, so you can totally like add, you can flip them over. Like if you're doing this pattern, we're going to do 2 strips like this. And if you're doing a pattern and you think that it looks too close, like there's not enough contrast between it, just flip it over and then you get a whole different pattern. And also, because this is double-sided, I'm going to be able to do, so we don't waste a lot of paper down here on the end. I'm going to get this little piece in here. I'm going to hold it just long enough for the glue to catch. And I can trim this off. Flip it over to the back where the other pattern is. And use the back to fill in right there. And then we don't have any holes, but we also didn't have to, we can use the scraps. We don't have to have another whole sheet. I hope that makes sense. All of it. Heather bought all the candy. So Sunday I cleaned my craft room. generally is I am very much an organized person. I don't know if you can tell that or not by all the messes I make, but my room didn't need organized, did need cleaned, like especially like the floor needed mopped and needed, the windowsills, the baseboards, that kind of stuff. So I did that on Sunday. And while I was doing it, I collected together all of my candy, most of which is from Scoozies. And I made a little like candy basket in my room. So I have a little candy basket in my room now for when I'm feeling peckish. It's mostly peppermint candy because that's really the only kind of candy I really, really like. Oh, thank you, Susan. Okay. We are going to end up with extras. Because I wasn't 100% sure how many triangles I was going to need. So I do end up here having more than I need. I'm going to do the same thing on this edge too, so that I don't waste too much of the little squares. So I just put a little bit of glue in here, and then this piece should fit. Where are you? There we go. Yes. Ellen says that came together so quickly. It really did. And there are, you could make something that's a little more complicated. For tonight, we're just going to go with something a little bit more simple. I've done quilt designs where with paper, where it's taken me a day or two to get all the pieces cut and all the pieces done. So, and I'm going to pull this up so you can kind of see the little design that we have and how it looks. So then I am going to come in with a little triangle tray, an empty one. Do I have an empty one? Maybe. And if I don't, no worries, because I have like so many little triangle trays. Yes, Holly. So we have a special bundle tonight, a bundle of products that are discounted the night I do my live. And one of the products in today's bundle is this little paper pad. This is a 2x2-inch paper pad. So it comes with the squares already cut perfectly, 2x2, ready to make quilt backgrounds for scrapbook pages, like done. So all I did was I took the little 2x2 paper pad and I just cut it here, cut the papers on the diagonal, and they fit in perfectly because they started out perfectly cut as squares. So yes, I just cut them. I just did this with triangles, and then because all the papers are double-sided, I could flip the triangles over to get all the different patterns so that the same patterns were beside each other. Yes. And then I did paper piecing on with the leftovers on the corners so that we kept to the design, but we didn't have to use the big triangle pieces for the tiny little areas. So now I'm going to take these crystal gems and my little pick and stick tool. And I'm going to add little gems to parts of our design to kind of enhance the quilt design. So basically where the triangles meet, I'm just going to take one of the crystals. This is really challenging for me too, because I never create a scrapbook page in an hour. Like it's never an hour. It's always more than that. So I'm keeping an eye on the time, but we might go over. Okay. I am a very detail oriented scrapbooker. Well, I think I've slowly but surely becoming a very detail oriented paper crafter, not just in my scrapbooking, but in everything, where I always want to add little details to things. And those details are my favorite part. Logan, your dog can't be barking right now. Okay. Oh, they're all flipping over upside down. That's not cool. Stop. Okay. Sorry, I'm being quiet. I'm really, really focusing on where I'm putting the gems. There we go. Don't. Okay, so let me put this up here so you can see where I put all those little crystals, just right on those edges. I hope you can see them. Let's see if the light can catch them. No, of course not. So I'll make sure we get a good picture up on in the Facebook group later so you can see them, because they look really, really nice. So now let's talk about the next part of our page design. We're going to come back to these papers that we created. The first cut I'm going to make, don't threaten us with a good time. First one I'm going to do is I'm going to take the blue paper and I'm going to cut 4 1/4. This will be 4 1/4 by 10. Maybe that. And then this quarter, the other pearlescent paper, we're going to cut that at 3 by 4. And then I have 2 pictures. And I'm going to place the 2 pictures on either side of this with nice even borders. And then I'm going to put the 3x4 with the pearlescent. That's going to go in the middle. And then on top of that, we are going to layer our mitten. And we're going to kind of put it maybe off at a jaunty angle. And then we'll adhere all of that down to our scrapbook layout. Came to watch me scrapbook tonight. Hello, Christopher. How are you? Okay, so photo, nice even layers, nice even borders. And then that is going to give us this area. I cut this way because I wanted those streaks. They look like, if you kind of look, they look like snow or like wind blowing. And I just chose 2 winter photos, mostly because I am going to give this layout to the store at Brutus Monroe so that they can display it if they want. And so I didn't want, I chose photos that were just nice wintry type of photos. I am going to kind of move this around a little bit. I have pretty forgiving tape runner, so I can kind of play with the spacing. Make sure everything is nice and straight. There we go. And then I want to use both of the layers for the mitten. And this is going to have a nice kind of tone on tone look. And then we are, of course, going to jazz up this mitten with some crystals too. So there's a little mitten. We're going to put this one at a jaunty angle. I'm going to leave this down. Just hold on to it. Play elevator music in your mind while the glue adheres down. And the chipboard did kind of want to curl up a little bit, but that will all go away once it gets a hold of the glue. Whoa, what's up with the music? Sounds playing music. I think that's Penny. Penny likes to start the music. But I think it's gonna add, yeah, I think it's gonna like, what's the word? Cause interference. Is it called interference? Yeah. Okay, lots of glue on the back of this. Jaunty angle. And there we go. Oh, I did ask for music. And then I was like, why is it playing music? I forgot you could actually like give me music, Penny. I forgot that was like an option. Okay. So there we go. There is our cute little snow mitten. And we're going to add a little crystal right to the center. Perfect. We can come back with our pretty. Now, we can go ahead. A jaunty angle. Oh, for the little mitten. Our mitten's at a jaunty angle. So we're going to I'm going to go ahead and kind of separate out. We have all this beautiful festive blue and pearl greenery. And we also have some squares. So I'm going to start with the squares. I don't want to turn this over just yet, but we will. So let's see. We have the little frame down here. And when we do this, we have a very kind of square thing going on, right? Because we have our triangles down here. So I'm just going to go ahead and add for embellishment. These two little pieces up here. Now we're going to go ahead and just get all of these pieces into place. And then we're going to add the foliage. The reason we are adding foliage is because we don't want our layout to look too linear. We want it to look a little bit, you don't want it to look too linear. That's the best way I can describe it. We want some things that are kind of organic and that are kind of going to break out of the boxes. Yes, jaunty is a great word. It's one of my favorites. Jaunty and shenanigans. Those are my words. Those are my favorite words, I think. I'm also a huge fan of supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. Another fabulous word. I'm just putting, I have a precision tip nozzle on my glue bottle, so that's going to help with getting these super delicate dies into place. When I get these down, I'm going to bring it up to the camera because I just love this die. This might be my favorite die of the month ever. Well, I don't know. I really, really like the boombox too. I think the boombox is my favorite from this year. It's probably also the one I've used the most. That rainbow boombox is amazing. So cute. And this one might be a close second because I do really, really like this one. Okay. Another thing you'll notice here that's really cool about this die is that it fits together. So this is a 2-inch square. These are each 1-inch squares. So you can block them and they fit together like a little puzzle piece. And then there's a bigger one as well in the die set. There's one more that is a bigger square. So we're going to get this one up here. And of course, I'm going to drop it. This is why I use the glue I use, because it dries completely clear so that when I accidentally drop pieces, you won't even know it. I'm also going to move this down a little bit so you can see. Okay. So just these two more. Flabbergasted. Oh, flabbergasted is a great word. That's a really good one too. I love that. It's been a while since I've heard the word flabbergasted. And yep, I just dropped my little square onto my photo. We are going to get that fixed up. Okay. So I just want to put this up so you can see. I hope you guys can see like all that pearl shimmer we added to that to the Not Your Mama's cardstock. Like, and then we have the embossing powder on the mitten, and it all just has that gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous pearlescent sheen to it. And we made it all ourselves. So you don't ever, if you're die cutting or creating and you're like, oh, I wish I had pearlescent cardstock. Well, if you have Shimmer Mist and Not Your Mama's cardstock, you have pearlescent cardstock. Made to order. Okay. So now let's get some of these organic elements into our layout. So we are just going to go ahead and tuck these in. I'm going to tuck them in little clusters of 3 because your eye, we like odd numbers. We like clusters of 3. That's kind of like a graphic design. I guess you would call it it's called the rule of 3, but there are no rules in scrapbooking. So the suggestion of 3. And you can tell, like, immediately, this kind of blocky layout is now looking a little bit more organic and fun, a little bit more whimsical, because we've broken, by adding these little bits of greenery, we have kind of gone outside of the boxed look. Heather says so shimmery. Yep. I'm actually going to add 5 up here. Give this a little bit more. And then to glue these down, you don't want to glue all of them down. So you just want to add glue to just the bottom and let the rest of these greenery pieces add some dimension and some interest. It's going to cast some shadows. I love it when things cast shadows. When everything isn't stuck right down to your scrapbook page, when things are allowed to be a little bit up. Sometimes you can't do that too much with cards because you are going to mail them and you don't want them to catch and things like that. But when you're working with a scrapbook page, you can 100% let things kind of be a little bit more free flowing. Because even when you put them into a scrapbook or into a page protector, the page protector is going to hold them into place a little bit, but page protectors aren't super heavy. So even when you put it down in a page protector, you're still going to be able to see those fun shadows and interesting things. Okay. Karen Karen says I could never do scrapbooking. Sure you could. Anybody can scrapbook. There are no rules in scrapbooking. Even though I just said that there was the rule of 3, but that's not a rule, and that's also just that's more of a graphic design principle than a scrapbooking rule, but it does work really, really well when you're designing a scrapbook page. Another design principle, that's it. Design principle is that we like triangles. So you'll notice that when I did my little clusters here, we have a cluster that creates a triangle. Now I found the word that I wanted. Principle, design principle. And yes, the human eye likes odd numbers. We like to look at odd numbers. So one thing that many people want on a scrapbook page is a title and some journaling. For journaling, on this page design, you could just grab a pen, maybe some lines, draw some lines, and tuck your journaling right here in between these two clusters. I'm not going to journal on this page, but I'm going to put the year. And I'm also going to put a little bit of my title down there. And we are going to do some titling. So I went through my stash and I just found some puffy stickers, some white puffy stickers that we can use to add a bit of a title to our page. Oh, hi, Tina. Yes. Scrapbooking. If you are a card maker, Karen, and you like the idea of a smaller canvas, another size you could try is you could try scrapbooking in a traveler's notebook, which is 4 1/4 by 8 1/4, or 8 1/2 by 11. And both of those give you a little bit of a smaller canvas, which may make it easier to tackle a scrapbook page. Oh, you can do it, Karen. I believe in you. So we have these little puffy stickers from my stash. And I'm just going to put a super simple title. So I'm going to put hello, winter, and the year. And that's where we are going to call this layout done. Now, the question is, how did I do on time? So close. So close. I almost did it. I almost did a whole layout in an hour. Okay. I think I did pretty good considering we made our own paper, right? We made our own specialty cardstock. We added the little embossed mitten. I think I did awesome for pulling a layout together in an hour. That has always been every time I've thought about doing a layout live, my biggest fear was that there's no way I can do a 12 by 12 layout in an hour. Look, I can. Karen, if you decide, when you decide you are ready to scrapbook, I am easy to get a hold of. You can just message me on Facebook. I am more than happy to help a beginner scrapbooker get started. Go. And then what year are we in? 2024. All right. There we go. All done. I wanted to make sure I didn't spell anything wrong. So let me put this up to the camera a little bit. You can see all the details. And I still don't think the light's really going to hit it or do it justice for how like a sparkly and pearlescent this is. I love the little crystal in the middle of the mitten. I love the mitten, period. I think this mitten is like my favorite chipboard shape ever. It's so pretty. I love that. And then these little squares are so cute. So that is tonight's project. I did it. Yay, we did it. We made it. Thank you so much, Ellen. Thank you, Karen. Thank you, Laura. Yes, Tina. You absolutely have to. Tina says she snuck in and she is going to make a version of this in the near future because she's starting a scrapbook, and the wedding almost had to be postponed due to snow. And this calms the snowstorm. That's awesome. Thank you. Tina, if you post it in the Brutus Monroe fan group, make sure to tag me so I can see it. Thank you so much, everyone. You all have a wonderful rest of your evening. I will make sure to get this photographed as soon as I can so that I can get nice close-up photos. You can see all of it really, really well, and put photos into the Facebook group. I did it. Good night, Penny. Thank you so much, Tina. Thank you, Nikki. You guys were great tonight. Thank you so much for joining me. See you again later. Bye.